Hey guys, a very quick video as I'm driving home right now. Something pretty topical and somewhat of a caveat from yesterday's video. You may have seen in the news that Gemini, the exchange founded by the Winklevoss twins, is under a bit of scrutiny. Turns out that a lot of the people who were involved in their earning program have decided to sue them. They're claiming that it should have been basically announced as a security, and because it wasn't, they weren't able to rightfully analyze what the risks were involved. Now, there's a lot more if you get in the weeds there, but essentially the Winklevoss twins have decided to somewhat pass the buck to DCG. How much legitimacy there is to this, we don't really know, obviously, without knowing the intricate details of whatever agreements they had set up. But DCG, one of the biggest crypto entities on the planet, the other units of this company include Grayscale, for instance. But they're claiming that, DCG owed Gemini a large sum of money. It's almost $1 billion, I believe, or 900 million, something like that. And, this was essentially the crux of the problem, where Gemini used the money that was invested by their community and their members and lent it out to DCG so that they could do their thing with it. And essentially that was how the return on investment in the earnings program was generated, or so they thought. Now, with all the shenanigans that have gone down with FTX, Gemini claiming that, obviously liquidity issues due to them being somewhat invested with FTX as well, and ultimately looking to pass the buck to DCG to basically, from an optics perspective, I think, give out a bit of credence to the fact that they're not wholly to blame. How much legitimacy is there to this? We don't really know. Does it really matter? I don't think so. If Gemini go under, which I don't think they will, but if they do, what will that do? Well, I think right now it'll cause a little bit of FUD, a little bit more, or a lot more panic, especially on the heels of FTX and what happened with that. Will it make prices go down a great deal more? I don't think so. I think we're nearing the bottom, or if not there already. So the impact that's going to have is going to be minimized in comparison to if it came out of the blue at the top of the bull market. Now, my perspective on this, and I think this goes hand in hand with what happened with FTX as well, I truly believe that in a couple months the narrative has a good chance of changing completely. And what we'll find is that rather than being in a state of panic where all crypto is bad, I think we're going to be in a situation where people are placing a lot more importance on decentralized exchanges. The security is better. We've heard Richard Hart say time and time again, not your keys, not your tokens, not your coins. Now, this seems to be a narrative that hasn't yet reached into the masses who are still kind of onboarding onto all of these wider exchanges. And that's fine. I think that when it comes to, fiat on-ramps, exchanges are always going to be prevalent. But in terms of investing in some of the too good to be true returns on the, things like the earning program, I think the emphasis is going to be put on how you get involved with the least amount of security risk, or at least having full ownership of your interest. What do we know that's coming out? Hopefully in the not too distant future, PulseX. Now, look, this may be a couple months down the line, so for many of us, it's not exactly going to be easy to think about right now. But when I see all this FUD, when I see, certain things like this happening, my head is just going ka-ching, ka-ching. I'm seeing the opportunity that could potentially come from, this FUD hitting at what seems to be the perfect time. We're in a bear market already. A lot of us who are veterans in this space have already sucked up those losses. Well, they're not even losses, they're just a down market. We've already sucked up the fact that our portfolios are going to be looking pretty bad right now, because we know that when the cycle comes back around, it's going to be looking fantastic. And so if something like Gemini potentially going under, or at least having enough FUD around it until it kind of gets back on its legs, causes prices to go down a little bit more, I'm not opposed to that at all. I think that now, as many of us are looking to really make the most of this next bull market, looking to get involved in a bigger way than we have previously, taking those lessons learned, all the stuff that I mentioned in my previous video, this is a perfect opportunity. Even projects like Hex, if you're a big fan of the Richard Hart ecosystem like we are, or like I am, it's a great opportunity to buy at a discount. Now, I'm not going to make any estimations on what the price performance could be doing in the short term with Hex. I'm hoping it goes down a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little frustrating for the position I already have, especially for those with much larger positions. I imagine it being a little frustrating, but you invested into Hex, or you're going to invest into Hex because you know that the fundamentals are in place. Now, I know in my heart, or at least I'm fairly confident about the fact that Hex will go up again. You know, it's as always tends to happen with projects where the fundamentals are in place. These prices will go up again past their all-time highs previously. So if Hex goes down to a cent, being able to buy at a cent is a gift from God. Of course I'm going to be happy about that. So don't fall into the same trap that a lot of folks will now. They'll start looking at crypto as being, this undeveloped, risky place, which, on paper, I guess it is. But as long as you're making smart decisions, this is the best opportunity many of us will have. So I wanted to share my 2 cents there. Do I think that, there inevitably will be a slight drop in an already fallen market from news like Gemini being sued and being under insane scrutiny right now? Yeah. Are we lucky somewhat if there's a silver lining to be found that a lot of this, comes on the heels of an FTX? Yes, I don't think that it's going to add enough ammunition to the argument that crypto is bad. Of course, there are going to be people who are going to be spouting that nonsense for the next, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. But do I think the narrative will shift in our favor? PulseX being a decentralized exchange, and therefore, the importance of decentralized exchanges going forward will be all the more prevalent. Yeah, I do. This is just my 2 cents, but listen, again, take this with a pinch of salt. It's only my opinion, but what I will say is I do share the opinion with a lot of folks that I know who are laughing right now. We are, rubbing our fingers together, expecting monumental gains should stars align. And right now, the stars are aligning. In hindsight, when you're looking back at previous markets and you wonder to yourself, should I have had or what if I had the presence of mind to have got involved when everyone was fudding the hell out of the market? Certain projects, people calling it scams, people really not understanding past the surface level of the media message that's out there. Institutions know this. They're buying. These institutions are buying right now, very strategically and through different entities, I imagine. But they understand this. The media message is somewhat manipulated. We know this too. And maybe that's a different video that goes into a lot more detail on kind of how that works and mass mentality and whatnot. But right now, anyone thinking about panicking that all this FUD is coming out, change your perspective a little bit. There is a silver lining to be found, and it's a pretty significant one.